Meeting for City Commission is called to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Brown?
Here.
Dr. Estrop?
Here.
Mrs. Houston?
Here.
Mrs. Tackett?
Here.
Mr. Riff?
Here.
Yes, Commissioners, we have one work session tonight, and with us is our Police Chief, Allison Elliott, and our Sheriff, Chris Clark, and they're going to do a presentation about law enforcement collaboration between their agencies and others to address gun violence in our community.
Well, good evening, Mayor Rue and Commission. Thank you for having us here this evening. Really grateful. I guess I want to first say extremely grateful for Sheriff Clark and his team. And, since he's kind of taken over in January, he has been fully committed to working closely with us and providing us the resources necessary for all of us to work collaboratively together as agencies that are serving both Springfield and our Clark County communities. So really grateful to be here this evening.
I'd like to echo that as well. Since taking office in January, the relationship between Clark County and Springfield PD has been ever increasingly pleasant. We've gone on several ventures together to try to take on some topics head on here in the city, and I want to thank Chief Elliott for having an open door to whatever topic come up.
So this evening, the opportunity for us to speak about our collaboration and our abilities to work together to address gun violence has been, something I know the city manager has asked us to speak about and kind of discuss. I think the big point for us is to understand, a unified front for us to work together collaboratively allows us to be much safer in our operations. And we will talk about some of those initiatives and efforts that we've had over the last couple of years. So some of the things that we have recognized in our community and just nationwide efforts, the increase that we do see as far as our youth and underage individuals carrying guns has certainly increased over the years. I think we've definitely seen the access to firearms being so much easier when we talk with our detectives and officers on the streets, when they are encountering these individuals. The ability to access a firearm is certainly much easier, and it's noticeable and concerning. And some of the other things we've seen are, and we talk a lot about, are the inability or maybe lacking different skill sets to be able to de-escalate situations and learning how to work through disputes. And we know that has a grave impact on not just our families that are affected, but our entire community and the youth within our community. So in talking about our efforts, why is it so important? With Sheriff Clark and his team, they've been so willing to work closely with us, and it allows us to provide one another with intelligence and share information, but better planning of operations, additional resources, bolstering, our presence, making sure that we have additional presence within these operations.
And I'd like to touch base and point out that with the Clark County Fair recently in our rearview mirror, this was put into practice during the course of the fair. As we know, the last few fairs that we've had, we've seen an increase of violence at the Clark County Fair, including last year. The last day we had an episode where we had a very large fight that did involve a firearm. So that was a concern. So this year we took some measures, and we got some intelligence on what people we should be looking for. Had some intel, some people on the ground out fairgrounds to help us try to identify the bad actors and to try to make sure that we kept the firearms out of these hands of these children and away from the Clark County Sheriff's Office. And that was done through the collaboration between the Clark County Sheriff's Office and Springfield PD through intelligence sharing. So what she's talking about was put into practice and made for a very successful and very safe Clark County Fair.
So additionally, I think it's important that folks understand, our community understands that when we have, especially we have enforcement initiatives, our public safety network is very large, and we make sure that we're collaborating with many different realms within our community. And up here on the slide, you can see a lot of the folks that we do coordinate with and work with to ensure that our efforts are holistic and we have a holistic approach, not just enforcement and addressing the issues, but what are we doing after to follow up and follow through. And also what the sheriff had shared with intelligence-driven, data-driven information, something that we've been extremely grateful for is our crime analyst program that we have had the opportunity to build from the ground up. We have 2 analysts currently in our program who do incredible work every day, and they have worked closely with us to take a look at, the technology, because in law enforcement and just in general in society, technology is ever evolving and increasing, is becoming more and more of an increased tool that we use to be safer and more data driven. And like the sheriff said, for us to be able to work up some of this information and identify some of these patterns and social media, monitoring social media for threats and concerns and working with our detectives closely, we've been able to work to share that information back and forth as an agency.
And the use of technology through these analysts is giving us a heads up on things that are coming. When we work together to research this stuff, the criminals have evolved to a data-driven lifestyle, and I'm sorry to say that law enforcement as a whole across the United States is a little bit behind. We're catching up, but we're still doing some things today that occurred in the 90s when I started this job. So we're still doing things the same way, where the criminals are out there using data and technology and their cell phones. Everybody carries at least one computer around on their person at all times. They're using these sort of things, so we're a little bit behind the 8 ball. But the invaluableness of Springfield PD having these analysts there who can take this raw data and can do the research that do the research for us, can kind of give us a heads up of what we're looking at. So we're coming into a data age, and we're catching up with them, and Springfield having those analysts is a valuable piece.
So again, just to drive home the point of these joint operations, we've held several joint initiatives where we've had multiple agencies, multiple jurisdictions assisting us, again, creating that unified approach, and especially when we're talking about as it relates to our youth. We know we have to be very mindful of that when you're encountering a juvenile that's carrying a firearm. And so we definitely have worked closely together with all of our partners, many of those who you've seen on those previous slides. But again, data-driven enforcement, understanding those needs. And kind of speaking on that, I can share, we had one initiative effort just recently here back on July 8th. And just to give you an idea, we had Springfield Police Division, the Clark County Sheriff's Office, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Dayton DEA Residence Office, Falk Task Force Adult Parole, London Police Department K-9, and Bellefontaine Police Department K-9. We all worked together in this operation, and just a result that you can also review on our city's webpage. I know the city put a post up about the results from those efforts. Over the course of one night, we did 35 traffic stops, 22 citations were written, 1 OVI arrest, 5 felony arrests, 1 felony drug arrest, 3 misdemeanor arrests, 1 misdemeanor drug arrest, and 3 firearms were seized, one of which was from a juvenile, and 11 prescription pills and approximately 4 grams of suspected cocaine. And this was just over a course of one evening. And again, this was data-driven, and to kind of explain that a little bit further, talking about our flock cameras that we've implemented over time and how we've been able to use those as an effort and a way for us to identify suspects and individuals involved in these cases and increase our solvability rates exponentially. We've been able to use those flock cameras and ensure that we're, also using our drone operations to ensure safety on enforcement initiatives. So many different pieces of technology that some of these agencies have also had access to that they can help provide during those initiatives.
And while we're on the subject of technology, one thing that I want to kind of touch base on is the ongoing effort with the 911 Center. One thing that I think you all know I'm very passionate about is getting this 911 Center up and running. It's been an ongoing project for the Clark County and Clark County Sheriff's Office for several years. Chief Elliott and I meet on a regular basis with another group of community leaders and to try to get this on board. We've run into some technology issues, as you're aware of. I'm in the process right now of trying to secure a company to come in and get us up to speed and where we need to be. We are not as far along on this project as I had hoped at this point, but we are making progress with it. As you know, my goal is to remove us off of the Citrix system and onto a VPN system. We have been testing the VPN system over the past several months, and I can tell you that there is night and day difference between the two. The VPN system works phenomenally well. We have access to mapping, we have access to telemetry, we have access to upload, download. A lot of things that we didn't have access to before are coming. So part of the contract that is out right now, the RFP that's out is due up August 8th, and part of that contract gives a time requirement to have Springfield PD and Springfield Fire and all of the surrounding agencies onboarded onto the system and up and operating within a certain amount of time. And it's a very short amount of time. I'm going to be very strict on that. And that's because of this collaboration, because we need a data share. We need to go back and forth, and we need to make sure that whatever Springfield City is working on, we're aware of, and whatever we're working on, Springfield City is aware of. We're dealing with the same people here. We're dealing with the same groups of people, whether or not they're coming in and out of the jail, whether or not we're going through the Springfield City serving papers, whether or not we're backing each other up. Springfield PD is my first backup, and I'm first backup for Springfield PD. We need to be here to support each other. We need to be here to lend a hand when it's needed. And I'm here to commit the Clark County Sheriff's Office to support the Springfield Police Division in any way, shape, or form that they need it.
Switching gears a little bit, just talking about some of the additional efforts as far as both of our agencies. We understand that addressing and enforcing these situations is vital and it's necessary, and it can increase risk. And we recognize that. And again, just understanding that the more law enforcement and resources that we have working together, we can ensure safer operations for everyone involved as well as the community. But shifting the gears and understanding some of the efforts that we're looking to continue to be proactive on, some of the things that we're involved in, I think it's important that we mention, because it's coming up this Tuesday, is National Night Out. And that's an opportunity for our community and law enforcement and first responders to have open dialogue, have a good community event together, and break down those barriers and build those bridges between law enforcement and the community. But also it's an opportunity for you and folks with their families to bring their families down and partner with law enforcement and first responders as another unified front to address violence within our community. Some of the new things that we brought back, our bike rodeo was another way for us as a Springfield Police Division to add to that. And I know Sheriff has his programs as well that they are working on.
One thing we just highlighted with Clark County Fair was Safety Village. It just accomplished its 50th year. We honored the three individuals who started Safety Village in 1975. We made a commitment to try to keep it going for the next 50 years. It's been a wildly popular event, and we hope to expand it over the next few years to include more children.
And again, just driving home the point, we've talked a lot about this, and we've had a lot of folks who have come and spoken about the gun violence and the violence within our community. Law enforcement is only one arm in the community that's able to work toward addressing that. We need everybody here, everybody in this entire community to come together, and there's so many people who are already engaging in those efforts with the right heart, the right mind, and the right attitude, and we need to continue to come together and make sure that we're working collectively to address these issues and address the root causes. We also need the investment in technology as we move forward. I know the Sheriff and I have talked a lot about this, how the continued need, we understand that technology and data tools are very expensive. They can be very costly. but they keep everybody safe and much safer at times, and they're necessary, and they're a necessary piece of equipment for us to do our jobs thoroughly and making sure that we're doing everything correctly.
And along those same topics, I know you're aware that the Clark County has started an initiative to look towards building a new jail, new public safety building. That is very early on in the infancy stage. But I wanted to kind of comment on that and just kind of touch base on how critical a facility like a new jail would be to this area. Right now, we have a 180 bed jail. It's rated to house 167. Our average daily population today was 192. We are only housing the worst of the worst. We need to make law enforcement in Clark County, Springfield mean something again, which means starting early. If people shoplift, there should be penalties for that. The problem we have is if we don't pay attention to the lower level nonviolent felonies or misdemeanors, it builds a resistance almost. It builds someone's confidence in order to do the next step, to do something a little bit worse each time. And then before we know it, we're dealing with violent criminals. So we need to address the lower level misdemeanors in a way that means something. And not to say that it doesn't right now, but I think we could do more. But a lot of what we're hung up on is we've got no place to put them. The hands of the prosecutors are bound. The hands of the judges are bound, just simply because we had to get creative on how to hold people responsible for their actions. And I'm not saying jail is appropriate for everybody, but within a new facility, there's a lot of things that we could do to make things better. Currently, the recidivism rate in Clark County is 34.5%. That's extremely high. The way to get that down is a lot of it's through programming, drug and alcohol rehabilitation. It's through GED programs. It's through anger management. It's through counseling. All things that can be provided within a new facility that we have trouble providing right now in the jail because of limited space. So, it's really, law enforcement is really a very big machine, and we're only as strong as the weakest cog. And we've got to make sure that every cog in this machine is strong. And right now, I've got a commitment from the chief here and a commitment from me that we're willing to step up and make things better in this community and do whatever it takes. And we hope the community gets behind us, and they're willing to support the initiatives to make sure that we can make this a safer community.
And I will echo that because we know seeing our officers on the front lines every single day and deputies and law enforcement and public safety, we know their jobs are extremely difficult and they're tasked every single day with making very difficult decisions, sometimes split-second decisions, and it's challenging. And again, just being able to work together, train together, continue to collaborate together, the gratitude that I have for Sheriff Clark and his commitment to us, I echo that from the Springfield Police Division as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say, and I'm sure commissioners will have some comments, but I do appreciate the effort at the top level in our community with law enforcement working together. I know that trickles down. I'm sure everything's not rosy on each side at the same point. It's probably never been rosier. I'll just say it that way. But I do appreciate that. And I know you guys are making an effort to do that. Sheriff Clark, I appreciate you going after the deficiencies of the 911 system and fixing those and making that one of your top priorities since you've been in office. I know the city of Springfield deeply appreciates that, and thank you for that. Other commissioners, comments?
I'm delighted to hear your message. The criminals have known for some time that the boundaries can work to their advantage, and the only way we can keep that from happening is by collaboration and cooperation among law enforcement. Then the boundaries go away to some extent because we're all pulling together. So I'm delighted to hear this message and want to encourage you to continue to work together and build strong bonds for the benefit of Springfield and Clark County in general. Also, just curious, what kind of technology needs do you see in the immediate future? what kinds of things would help you do your jobs more effectively and efficiently?
I think something that, we've looked at and we've kind of talked about, understanding that, drones as first responder programs, drones have increased as far as the capabilities and the things that we can do. We work really closely with Chief King and the Springfield Fire Rescue Division. Obviously, they are instrumental in the scenes that we have and that we need their assistance. They provide their drone operations. And it's been, such an increased opportunity for us, not only to preserve crime scenes, but also to locate individuals who have been involved in criminal activity. So drones obviously can be expensive, but understanding that we would love to bolster that program. The flock cameras, we understand they have done an incredible job in not only deterring crime and especially in hotspot data-driven areas, we've seen the results there, but also in being able to increase our solvability rates. We currently have 36 within the city of Springfield, but that's a renewal every single year that we know we have to make sure that we are paying attention to. But increasing, cameras around the community like that are huge for us. Having an opportunity to review in the future a crime gun or not a crime gun, excuse me.
Ivan?
No, I'm sorry, not the crime gun, the live, what Dayton PD just did. I apologize. I'm mixing it up, not the Crime Gun Intelligence Center, but kind of the real-time crime center. Sorry.
Okay.
So having that opportunity to look for the future, even if we could collaborate as agencies to put that together to help increase, a visual presence and get ahead of things before they even start is a big way for us to improve that.
As you both know, I serve on behalf of the Commission on the Criminal Justice Council. And to your point, Sheriff, I have heard at those meetings, before and after those meetings, the frustration of not only the uniformed officers, but the prosecutors, the judges, the people at the jail, in terms of their inability to do their job as they would like to do it because of the limitations imposed by the size of the jail.
Yes.
I certainly have heard that, and I hope the community will listen and act accordingly when we have that opportunity. Thank you both very, very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
First off, thank you for being here tonight. The only two comments I have, and I know it's already been said, but wanted to echo it. Thank you for your commitment to the 911 Dispatch Center and just your continued collaboration. I look forward to our meeting on Thursday, the joint meeting, hearing more about the future proposed jail.
Thank you both again for being here and spending time with us today to explain your partnership, which is such a inspiring role model in law enforcement and the work that you do in the community. You were sharing some of the programming that you do, but Sheriff Clark, do you do the DARE program in schools as well? Your deputies do that, right?
We do. I have two deputies that are assigned to do nothing but DARE.
Okay, and then I'm always bragging about your Explorer program. Can you say anything about that?
So the Explorer program is a branch off from the Boy Scouts of America.
Mm-hmm.
We had an Explorer program back here in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and we rejuvenated it probably about 7 or 8 years ago. It took a little lull during COVID, but what it is that it gives an opportunity for young men and women who have an interest in law enforcement, 14 and up, that can come in. We put them through a little mini police academy, teach them about policy and procedure, teach them about wearing their uniform correctly, teach them about, honor and integrity and doing the right thing. And they can come out and ride with us. They can come out. They help park cars at certain events with work with the deputies. And it's kind of like a mentorship program. And it's been very popular. There's probably 12 to 13 kids in there right now. We just graduated a police academy, a Explorer Academy a couple months ago over at Greenon High School. And it's been something that's been really good, and it's generated some law enforcement officers that are in this community. I just swore in one of my Explorers as a corrections officer last week.
Wow. That's pretty
Might have as
cool.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, back to Chief Elliott, you have the Citizens Police Academy and the work that you do in the community with adults. Can you talk a little bit about the Citizens Academy and what that is?
Yeah, so that's similar an opportunity for someone who wants to learn more about our agency, the policies and procedures, maybe why we do some of the things that we do internally and also externally as law enforcement, the decisions that are made. You also get an opportunity to speak with some folks from the court system. They come in and provide some opportunity to learn about that. But we've gotten great feedback. I think it's a wonderful opportunity if you're looking to learn more about law enforcement. And I say, you can, even if you do support law enforcement or you don't support law enforcement, you just want to learn more and maybe have a better understanding. We've had a ton of people from different ends and different views who have come in just to take the time to educate themselves. And I think it's been eye-opening and enlightening for a lot of folks and the feedback that we do get. I will say that we are looking to hold our next academy here coming up in the fall. So very soon you'll probably be seeing some of those applications opening up for you to put in for that.
And I think, when we talk about the capacity and how overwhelming we are with, the crime happening in the community, putting more on the front end of prevention is so important. And I don't think we put enough into that. So just to impact, the community through doing engaging events like that, I think is just so important. I have one more thing I'd like to share because the jail is kind of a hot topic right now. Sheriff Clark, can you remind me or share with everyone when we're at capacity and you have to send some of our folks to other jails, can you share what that cost looks like?
So we currently have a contract with another agency. It costs me $90 per day per inmate to ship inmates out to another facility.
So
So
many times you're overwhelmed
Yes.
and we're having to do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So luckily we have not had to do that yet this year, but the contract is in place in case we get to that critical point, because we're in violation of Ohio Administrative Code to be over capacity. The state of Ohio says we should not be over capacity. Now we manage it. The state of Ohio gives some grace with that because there's a lot of facilities in the state of Ohio that are overcrowded, but overcrowding by itself causes a lot of problems. It causes tension. It can cause health concerns. It can cause infrastructure problems within the jail itself. It can cause a safety issue for the corrections officers and the deputies who are working in there. So we try to keep it down, keep the population down as best we can, and we do that through collaboration with Springfield PD, with collaboration with the judges and the prosecutors. So we may get in a situation where we have to have a conversation with some people, some judges, to try to get some people released early, to try to keep that down, because it's critical we keep the count manageable so we don't create a situation that's hazardous, that's dangerous for the inmates and the people who are working inside that facility.
The last statement I just want to make is something that was just the most enlightening, eye-opening thing since being a commissioner. I have been, I guess, lucky enough to ride with 2 deputies and do a ride-along, and then I've also done it with SPD. And the one situation specifically that I like to share with the community is we had arrested someone, taken them to the jail, and the jail was at full capacity. And we could not take them, they couldn't take them into the jail. So they literally had to let them back out, and they were reoffended that night. And then hearing the call times, right, and how much we can handle, and so much of that is reoffenses, right? We get a lot of reoffenses. So if we're actually going to be able to have a full jail where we can hold folks, as you were talking about, kind of following through with the process and retaining people, I think that as we talk about the jail, that's just one thing that was just that need. And then what will the service times look like? We'll be able to improve it, the stress to our officers and deputies to be there for everyone at all times. And it's just a lot. So the trickle down effect from considering the new jail and adding more efficiency in your agencies, I think is very beneficial.
And
Thank you.
ultimately, we want to see that recidivism rate of 34.5% to come down. We want that down around 20.
Mhm.
You know, so, and lower if we can, you know,
Yes.
but that all comes with, you know, the machine working as efficiently as it can.
Mhm. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just really quickly, speaking to the prevention piece, I'm always going to be the person in the room that's going to ask what type of coaching and during your collaboration are you guys doing with one another to look at your current practices? I know we kind of spoke about that efficiency earlier, and to see what you're doing right now to look at that effectiveness of those practices and to be able to understand why the why of we have such high criminal rates, right? And we're looking at truly why that crime is there and understanding the impacts, again, that I'm going to say 1,000 times, of poverty, of racism, of things of sexism, all the isms and the impacts of that on that crime rate and on the recidivism as well. Are you guys looking into doing additional collaboration and training and coaching and reflection on those pieces as you continue with your collaboration?
Well, I can tell you that Chief Elliott and I talk, you know, quite regularly, and we bounce policies and situations back and forth off of each other on how, you know I've asked her several times, how would you handle this? She's asked me. We're constantly training. We're constantly looking for ways to improve and to approach things in a different way, try to make things better. We're constantly searching for answers. Can't sit here and tell you that I've got them all. I wish I did, but we are constantly looking for the next best thing to try here to try to make it better for us.
And leveling up in law enforcement, you know, that's a big thing. We need to make sure we're continuing to evolve with law enforcement and just looking at our policies, procedures, practices. Sheriff and I spoke about that today. You know, they had worked through accreditation processes and they're obviously working through that now as far as his policies and procedures and just as taking on his new sheriff, not to speak for you, Sheriff, but
Very fine.
the conversation we did have today, you know, our opportunity that we were afforded to be a part of the OCLEAP, the Ohio Collaborative Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, and getting state certification through that program helped push us to take a look within and at our practices and our policies and procedures. And it's still a work in progress. We still have a lot of procedures to address, update, and work through, and that's going to continue. That should always be something we're doing constantly throughout each year. And I recognize that, and that starts with me, making sure that I look at that and I address that, but also training our folks and making sure that those practices are consistent and that we're doing the right thing by our people so they have those standards and guidelines that they can operate from, keeping them safe and protected as well as the community.
Our policies and procedures are and should always be a living and breathing thing. So they should always evolve with the times. They should always evolve to what's going on around us. And you know, it starts at the top. It starts with me and it starts with Chief Elliott that we have to be the ones to make sure that our policies evolve.
And with that, is there a motion to conclude the work session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mrs. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes. Thank you so much for being here.